Hey everyone, it's your girl Twana Yvonne, but you can call me TJ, all my friends do. We're excited to welcome you back to another episode of Let's Talk About It, where we dive into the latest pop culture, but also talk about the HR intersection. So we want to give you some insightful tips and tricks on how to navigate that. So let's get started. But before we do, I must introduce my amazing co-host, Shatima Gresham, CEO of Procure Talent Management. Shatima brings a really unique perspective to the discussion. She is an Arizona native, and we know that's unique to be Black and a native.
It is
so not. Welcome in, Shatima. How you doing, girl?
Hey, what's up, TJ?
You ready to talk about it?
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here to chit-chat with you, my beautiful co-host, and to meet our new guest.
Yeah, who you introducing us to, girl?
Darren Thompson. Darren is the founder of Poker Consultant. He's also the Chief Business Development Officer and the Executive Board Member of Single Father Network. He is also the head of marketing for Simply Taught, which is an AI company. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, Darren.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, how are you doing, TJ?
I'm doing pretty good. I have been thinking lately about a couple things, so I want to talk about them. Y'all want to talk about it?
Awesome.
One particularly is about names. I recently saw on social that we thought we got our last names from slave masters. Spoiler alert, it turns out like we got our last names from things they did. For example, a slave that was a blacksmith might be a smith, or a slave that was a tailor, like tailored clothing, they would be tailors. Also using descriptors like Brown. He probably was Brown, so he was Mr. Brown. So we didn't really necessarily get our names from slave masters. I thought that was pretty interesting. But I wanted to spin it a little bit and talk about first names too. There's some stuff in the Black culture currently about how we get our Black names. And I know, names like Bertha are phased out, right? They say we name our kids after things we aspire at some point, like Mercedes.
Okay.
Right? Like, you see the lady
Alexis.
Right? Alexis, you following me.
I got
so
you.
I wanted to know, because I know we're Gen X, not necessarily the Mercedes or the Berthas.
Right.
How did you get your name?
That's a good story. So first of all, picking back to the last name. So at least for Gresham with an E, that was the slave owner's name. Okay. So we have a historian in our family, and they did a lot of research. And so my ancestors were owned by Native Americans, and their name, there was some French, obviously some European connections to that, but essentially the owners were Gresham with an I. And so you'll see a lot of Caucasians with, Grisham. And then they named their slaves Gresham with an E. So we've kind of fit in that a little bit. As far as Shatima is concerned, I have asked my mom, and she never knew what the meaning was. She said she was cleaning albums when she was pregnant with me. Okay. And on the back of a Stevie Wonder album that I've yet to find, he shouts out the name Shatima. One of the instrumentalists had the name Shatima, and she liked it. And so that is how I was named Shatima. But about 10 years ago, I was working for Kaplan University, and one of our vendors, and I'm friends with her today, shout out to Janine, she is... I don't know if she's Bangladesh or from the Mideast. Her family's from the Mideast. But long story short, she was in my office, and she was like, "Do you know what your name means?" And I'm like, "Nope, my mom doesn't know what it is. She found it on some Stevie Wonder album or whatever." Yeah. And she's like, "No, your name is Arabic." And I'm like, "Yeah, I kind of knew it was Arabic." And so she called her father in my office, and he told me that Shatima means happiness. Okay. And that there was a song with it. And she ended up sending me all this information on the meaning of my name. So I just found that out probably about 10 or 15 years ago.
I could see that, the happiness. I could see that in Shatima. What about you, Darren? How'd you get your name?
I'm a Thompson. I'm not quite sure where that originated, but my mom is from North Carolina. My dad is from South Carolina.
Okay.
And so, original slave states, are kind of spooky. But
Yeah.
my first name, obviously, is Darren, Darren. Okay. And so that name, part of the culture of that name in my family is I have an identical twin brother named Daryl. Okay. So he's Darrel. And so it was an easy split for mom and dad, right? Yeah.
Whoa, he got the tougher spell, too.
Well, he's Rrel. I'm Rren.
But Darren's easy. Daryl with Rel is unique.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I know like 20 Daryls with,
Just
a
one letter
different
different. Yeah. Okay.
But we share kind of the difficulty sometimes with our names, right? Like, I know my son is 15 and he calls me, sometimes he'll call me Shadama because Siri and Alexa, they'll be like, play Shadama's playlist.
Right,
Or,
right.
Hi, Shadama. So
Right.
that is like the running joke because people tend to, struggle with
Yeah.
getting it out.
So I wanted to share a little story about my name as well. I am named after some people, but not like most. Most are named after grandmother or aunt. My father named me after some ex-girlfriends, plural. And most people find that to be like Darren, like, what? I didn't get that at first. I used to be like, what? I take pride in that. Like, he named me after somebody. But I think it was, for me, I saw it a little different, and I just kind of had to talk through it with somebody who gave me that reaction that I could have an honest conversation with. And they're like, 2 girlfriends? Like, did your mama know? And, I found out as an adult, and she didn't know where it came from. She was just excited, like, he just wanted to name you, And so I shared it with her, but for me, it was him seeing something in them and saying, they made an impression on him of some sort that it resonated, right? Not that my mom or his current wife did not, but they had some sort of impression. And I feel it. Like, I feel like Yvonne, some regal, pretty girl he was all into, and Twana had this masculine side. So I never liked Twana growing up. But my mom always called me Twana Yvonne, and I like that. So I'm named after some ex-girlfriends, and I don't mind it. I think it just was a way for him to, pour into who he wanted me to be.
Did he ever tell you if he let the ladies know that
He did
named his
not.
daughter?
He did not. But the way I found out, I was, again, adult, visiting Phoenix before I moved here. And he said to my stepmom, I named her after these women I loved, and they were beautiful women and just great. You remember Yvonne, we met her such and such date. And I'm like, and apparently my stepmom met one of the ladies. So I don't know if there's any truth behind that, but that was how I found out. So
I love that.
I don't know
love
if they knew, but now that was how we all knew. And that's when I went back to my mama, like, girl, did you know your baby daddy named you after
these men,
ex-girlfriends? I know.
These guys. Well, I have there is a 25-year-old running around Phoenix with the name Shatima, and she is named from one of my exes, named his niece Shatima.
Oh, wow.
And I did not find out.
See?
I was at a barbecue, and his father was like at the front of the door, and he was like, Shatima, come here. So I'm like, okay. So I'm walking over there, and he's like, not you, my grandbaby. I was like, what?
Wow.
And they come with a little pumpkin seat. And so her name is Shatima, and I recently saw her for maybe the 3rd time ever about a year ago. But she's about 25 running around here. So shout out to my little namesake running the streets. But
See what I'm saying?
honored about it.
That's
though.
what I mean. Me too.
I
me
feel
too.
so good. That's why I was asking if they knew, because I'm like, I didn't even know. He never told me, and I never met another Shatima.
Right.
And to know that they were named
See,
after
I'm
me.
sure Twana and Yvonne would be honored, right?
Sure.
I feel honored on the other side because it was tied to something. So, nonetheless, I just wanted to talk a little bit about names and share that story, because it's a part of who we are, right?
Sure.
And I love that. So, let's get into some hot topics now. So, what you got for us up, Shatima? I'm excited about today's topic.
I know, like the world is busy. There's a lot going on in these streets. The first topic, to start off on a positive note, and I think you passed this on to me, is that did you know, Darren, that there is a Black-owned electric vehicle company?
I was recently made aware of that,
Yeah.
but sadly, I cannot tell you the name.
Let me tell you, his name is Derek Bailey. He is based out of Atlanta. And he is highlighted and receiving lots of awards because he's converting gasoline powered cars to electric cars.
Oh, wow.
So I thought that was really interesting. I seen it come up in the feed and you passed it over.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting story, especially with everything going on and the Tesla-Trump relationship, and people are like, dump those Teslas. And so to hear a story of a black man coming out with an electric vehicle. What also is more interesting is he has been working on this model for years.
Yeah,
and I remember hearing about him converting, we call them ICE cars, combustible engine, to electric. And so to now here he has made it available in a vehicle model. Like, I'm excited. Like, I want to see, like, one, the production time, like let a few people get them to get the kinks out, and then see the pricing. Like, I want to know. They look cute. They actually look really, really cute.
Yeah,
a little bit cuter than when I first saw the Teslas. They were giving like alien bubble cars.
Sure.
These kind of look, I don't know, like a little more sport bubbly. Like they just have a little bit more cute look. Yeah. So I'm interested to learn more about the product. And he's staying abreast of what's happening.
He is. And I think it's always good when we're able to penetrate those different markets, right, with
Certainly.
options. Because, at one point it was just Tesla, and then you started seeing like the small little Toyota Prius. Those were cute. But I was just driving down here, and I was looking at the little Mustang. I couldn't even stay in my lane. I'm like, that's a cute little hybrid Mustang.
They are so cute.
I'm nervous about electric cars, but I watched it for about 10 minutes on my drive, and I said, they look really cute.
Yeah, I think it's the best of both worlds. I know you were asking me about electric cars. What do you think about this, having a black-owned electric vehicle?
I think it's exciting, and I also think that when there's turmoil in the market, opportunity gets created.
Yes.
Right. So people will be looking for additional opportunities and different options. And yeah, absolutely. I drive an electric car, and at this point, I don't think I could ever go back.
Yeah,
Really?
that's what I say.
So having more choices to me is like a really great
Why
thing.
is that for this non-electric driving people?
That's a really good question. So I noticed an economic difference.
Okay.
Now, I want to make it clear. I think the first thing I really realized is that what you're doing is trading time for money. Okay.
Always.
So like, I had to get a charger installed in my garage because if I'm not thinking ahead of time, I'm going to end up spending time charging that car.
Right.
But economically was initially why I was interested. And then I found out there was a tax credit as well. And of course, I read the articles about doing good for the planet. And I wanted to do good for
Get that
the planet.
HOV lane.
Yeah. Oh, you get the HOV lane.
HOV for
Permanently.
sure.
In my gasoline car, we're jealous because you guys be whipping through there.
Yeah, definitely the HOV. I also am electric. One of the other advantages is the technology, right?
Oh,
it has so much technology that you don't get. Now, they're coming around like ICE cars, but I don't have keys anymore. Getting to 60 in less than 3 seconds. Like, y'all don't try to race me,
Right.
So there's a lot of technology advances, but I miss the luxury aspect, right? I haven't seen the intersection yet, and that might be my price point, y'all, but the intersection of luxury and the technology but he's right, like the gas savings, like never having to go to a gas station.
I mean, what does that feel like?
And you just plan your trips. Like if I go on a road trip, I'm just going to plan. I'm not going to, jump on the road and not know where I need to fill. And the car's smart enough, if you put the location, it's going to tell you where you need to charge. So you get through that anxiety of not.
I feel like I have a hard time keeping my cell phone and my watch charged. I don't know. I'll be the one like not charged, just running out, like not planning.
I mean, it happens from time to time, but you get in a habit, like you absolutely, like it's like gas. You're not gonna just run it to out of gas. You might, we ladies especially, will run it to E.
I'm like,
because
I'm
that
an
means
E-driver.
enough.
I confess.
We have confirmed E means enough to get where we going,
absolutely.
right? So women will drive the car till past E.
Me too.
And so it's the same difference. You just get in the habit of making sure you charge for your trips, you know,
Yeah.
for your work experiences. So it's not as bad as people think. It's actually better. Like Darren said, I'm not going back. But most of us won't be able to. So I think they're moving us towards getting those air vehicles, right? Like I know y'all have heard that. Now that they got the traffic control under check, right?
Yeah.
Because the vehicles will manage that. We'll be in the sky soon, and I love that because then we ain't got to worry about Southwest charging us for bags because they was my
Boy.
primary airline. Now
by itself.
I know how y'all gonna charge us for bags.
Unless you become their premium, was it like a VIP or premium
Girl,
member?
we not even talking Southwest because I was so disappointed in them. What's the next topic, girl? We moving on
man.
because I was so disappointed.
Well, you know, another year, another minute of some Kanye rants.
Oh boy.
You know, I everybody, you guys both tensed up over, over there. What do we say? What do we say? Because I know you read them.
Well, tell us about the rants.
Well, you know, Kanye this month, in the month of March, he's been very busy. He, you know, first talked about the Carter kids, Hove and B, not supporting them, and he said some things that I will not repeat.
Ugh.
But he was pretty vocal on that.
But he
also-
took it down.
Well, yeah, because he didn't want to, you know, I don't think he really wanted those problems, honestly.
Okay, but in the world of the internet, when you post it,
Oh, we all read them.
right now
Yeah.
we know there
Yeah.
you can't take it back.
No.
That's
I'm
okay.
curious to see if they're gonna let that slide though, or if they're gonna
Who is
pursue
they? Like, oh, you mean
Jay-Z,
like sue them?
Yeah, and
Parents.
Beyonce.
Oh.
If they're gonna some legal things may pin from that. I
Ooh.
just don't see them letting that slide.
Oh, that's an interesting turn.
Agreed.
What you
Yeah.
think, Darren?
Agreed.
You think
Agreed.
they gonna
Yeah.
go to court?
I do. I think talk about me all day, but like leave my kids out of it.
Right.
Yeah,
you know,
Right.
absolutely.
kids, sure.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
And because of his relationship with them previously and the assumed industry knowledge, you know, we might think, you know, there's some influence to it that it may be true or not. But I think he can influence that. And I think as a parent, you know, I feel like Jay-Z and Hove, Hove and B, I think there may be some legal things coming down from that.
I just am not sure why he posted it, right? And I don't know this Kanye. Like, I'm used to
Yeah.
the old Kanye. And he even said it, the old Kanye, the new Kanye. Y'all heard that song.
did.
Like, I know the old Kanye, you know, Good Morning. And, you know, so this is interesting. Like, when I even saw it, like, why would you post that? Like, there is nothing happening that we're aware of between Kanye and the Carters. So,
I just think there's a limit, right? Like, if somebody would have been talking about any one of his 4 kids, then, you know, he would be gunning for them. That would have been a whole another rant.
Absolutely.
And so I just think, you know, the kids should be off limits. Even celebrity kids, you know, they should just be off limits.
So now his PR team or compliance,
they probably
right?
quit.
What's happening behind the scenes with the people ops team?
Well, he's quiet. He's been quiet for
Okay.
at least the last week. So maybe they are doing the Lord's work over there.
okay,
and,
cleaning it up.
cleaning him up. I think he's out of the country right now. So, you know, they might have taken his phone
Okay,
for a little while. He also, you know, made some allegations towards Kim with the kids. Specifically, I guess he recently found out that Kim owns the name, likelihood, and trademark of Northwest.
oh wow.
So he didn't know that. He was trying to put her in a song with Diddy. There was
Sure.
some sort of collaboration, and
Sure.
Kim stepped in and served him with some papers that it didn't sound like he was aware of. And so she owns everything, and he could not add her to this song. And so that was a whole nother rant.
Can we talk about that from the Single Fathers Network perspective? Like, I think that's interesting because I'm a mom who, you know, was protective of my kids. And I see, okay, I could see why
Yeah.
she would do that. But now, you know, we think about the mothers first.
Yeah.
What do you think about that from the father's perspective and now him trying to want to use her?
That's a difficult question to answer, but I think there's probably a history there, right, of things that probably Kanye's done has made the mother feel uncomfortable.
Sure.
Right.
And if there's like a historical, you know, trail of, I don't know, maybe putting the kids in a situation that's not so healthy for them, it's easier for her to pursue this. And I think at some point there's a line, right? I
Right.
completely get that. But I think we should all mimic that.
Right.
What if we thought of our kids, and, you know, I'm not saying that we should think of kids as assets, but what if we help them realize what their value brought to the world and help them see that through the lens that early, right? And start to explore concepts like that. But unfortunately for Kanye, I try and give Kanye a little grace. But I understand there may be a mental scenario, and I want to be careful with that, or manic, or whatever might be going on. But in this case, I would side with the mom.
Yeah.
Just because of the history that I'm aware of. I don't know if it's true what I know, but
Right.
yeah.
Well, I mean, we go back a step with what he just did with the Carter's kids. You almost have to protect your kid because you don't know when he might go left. So
I agree. I think it's a good point that you made, though, and I think celebrities do it well. They know even before they release that name, they've already got trademarks. I think Beyonce name did that with Blue, and everything. Websites are already pulled up and everything just for the future, for whatever brand is coming out of that. But I do think that's a good point that we should learn from and start putting some ownership on that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I agree.
Do you think you have time for one more? You want to?
I think we might have time for one more. Let me check with the producer. Yeah, he's saying we got time.
Okay,
What's the
well,
next
let's
topic?
let's talk about the Alaskan airline flight attendant. Did you hear about Neil? Her name was Neil Diala. She was filming and posting of her twerking in an empty plane, and she got fired for that. So she was, American Airlines or Alaskan Airlines cited it as they have high standards for conduct and guest care, and she was a new employee. She had only been there for 6 months, and that it was a violation of her probationary period. But essentially the story was she had a layover, the plane was empty, and she did a video twerking, and it went viral.
Wow.
They let her go.
And they let her go. Well, the I got a lot of thoughts, but I thought about our compliance officer being on, and I would go, what is the policy, right?
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, what policy did she violate?
Right?
Sure.
What policy did she violate? Because that's my first question. Because, in reality, we don't necessarily consider twerking
Yeah.
a bad thing per se, but there are stigmas that go along with that, and it is our workplace. If you're on the clock, and then can you post a social video
Right.
at work on the clock? And so I think about Ayana when I think about this story, because initially I'm like, it's not that big of a deal, Alaska, get over it. But if that policy, has specifics about social media and behavior while on the clock, then girl, you cannot be twerking in your uniform. So I think I get it,
So she was in uniform?
Yeah,
in
she
uniform.
was on the clock.
She was
wow.
in
On the
uniform
flight.
on the
Oh, wow.
flight.
Okay.
It was empty. There was nobody was there. I would tell her to sue. I would probably encourage her to
Really?
sue because they didn't cite any social media policy violations. They cited that they have a standard, a high standard. I'd probably take the route that twerking has some cultural backgrounds
Right,
that
right.
are linked to celebratory. That, the plane was empty. I've been here 6 months. This is how I turn up. This is, no different than walking through with a glass of champagne.
Right.
Or a celebratory dance. And I think I would tell you to sue. I would talk to an employment attorney and have her push. The worst thing can happen is you're still unemployed. No job.
Right. Right.
I would, because they didn't cite it was not a violation of their social media policies. Because if you think about it, people record the flight attendants, and they sometimes make those snarky comments and jokes and stuff that are kind of a little off-centered. Those people don't get fired.
Okay, well, you heard her. What's her name? Let me find it so I can get it right. Nell Diala. Shatima, with her native Arizona perspective, says sue, or at least attempt. But I get that, too, because it helped them, too. We're talking about it. There's so many people talking about it, and we know if your name is in the media, good or bad, it's going to help. So I just think there's different perspectives to it. So interesting stuff.
Sure.
All right. Well, this has been a very good, exciting show, Shatima. Darren, can you tell us where the people can find you on social?
Absolutely. I hang out the most on LinkedIn. I know that probably sounds super nerdy, but
Very professional.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn the most. I don't do much on any other site except use it to look up information. So
Sure.
right now, TikTok's my favorite way to catch the news. Right. I don't know if anyone else is doing that as of yet, but I need it in short, quick microbursts
that's
of
right.
information.
Working on it, my TikTok life.
Yeah.
Well, I'm outside on TikTok. So TikTok University, Hillman Talk. I'm with you, Darren. So
Absolutely. I also have a website. We're at www.pokerconsulting.com. Poker's spelled Pokr, no E. We didn't want to be confused with gaming, so
okay.
Poker Consulting.
You want to tell us a little bit about poker before we close out?
Sure, absolutely. So what poker really is, it's the marriage between business development and marketing, right? And so the two really sort of operate under sort of different rules, if you will. And I bring both of those worlds together through creating strategies that are typically revenue-based, right, in order to get companies moving forward, right? So really strategizing around goals and how to get there, financial goals, and how to get there.
Who's your primary clients?
That is a really good question. So right now, I work with a ton of startups. So startups, right, they're always looking for, right, what's the best way to penetrate this particular market, right, and then create a strategy around client acquisition. So they're very attractive partners for me right now.
Okay.
Right now, we are also growing a nonprofit division to where we help nonprofits really understand that there are some instances where they should be operating like an actual business, right? So that's a new focus for us as well.
Well, I'm excited for you. Thanks for sharing that. So anybody who's looking for some business-to-business growth and strategy, they should look you up.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the show. We appreciate it. Once again, I'm Shatima. I'm the CEO of Procure Talent Management Group, your go-to HR experts for all things HR. I can be seen and reached on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. I am also the VP of professional development, of the Black HR Society. And you can catch us on all social media platforms as well.
That her personal part is she's making the professional development personal.
It is always personal.
To the member. So I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, the Black HR Society, for making a meaningful difference in the lives of Black HR professionals here, particularly in the Valley. You can find the Black HR Society on Instagram at Black HR Society. We're on all other social platforms at the Black HR Society. I also want to give a shout out to Coffee Consulting Options for You, one of our consultants, helping you build legacy wealth. And so if you are interested in insurance, investments, or credit repair, reach out to Coffee Consulting Options for You. We are so glad you joined us for today's show. If you want to be a guest on the show, or if you know somebody that make a good guest, you can email me, tj@wewannatotalkaboutit.com, because we want to talk about it with you. We are so glad you joined us today and look forward to you coming back for the next episode.
Bye.
Thank you.